let's start by housekeeping rules and ideas and familiarize ourselves with the event tools. Take a look around the chat. Tell us where you're located at, where you're from and around the world. That way we kind of have a good sense of where everybody's coming from. A couple of housekeeping notes, things to be aware of. We are taking questions at the conclusion of this event. That means feel free to put them in the chat, but we'll get to those questions at the end. This track will run for about 59 minutes, and we will try to be spot on with that time and try to get you out of here. And it would not be possible to run this virtual conference without the support of the sponsors, particularly for this session, which is EMQ and IIoT World. Thank you to the two of them for the sponsorship of this panel. With housekeeping out of the way, I'd like to introduce our topic and our speakers. So our topic today here is harnessing AI and IIoT and green tech for a clean energy solutions. So what we have Adrian Fielding, who's the general manager of emissions control and reduction at Honeywell. We have Dix. I hope I'm saying that right. I apologize if I'm not getting that completely right. Dix Reddy. He's a data engineer with Fidelity Investments. Pareen Tomar. He's the technology lead with the Office of National Statistics. And finally, we have Josh Eastburn, marketing director for EMQ. If you want to see their full bios, please go onto the website, click on their bios. They have a great track record, great information there, and check it out. So what I thought we'd do is we'll jump into the questions and ideas, but first let you guys introduce yourselves for a good 2 minutes each. And we can start with Josh. Want to introduce yourself?
There we go. I'd love to. So I'm Josh Eastburn, Director of Technical Marketing at EMQ. My background is industrial automation. Worked as an industrial automation engineer, service engineer, project manager in various industries, from everything from semiconductor to oil and gas to pharmaceutical, food and beverage as well. So that's kind of my background, and I came into IIoT more recently working with some of the pioneering companies in the industrial space like Opto22 and now with EMQ, really focused on MQTT technologies in particular, data processing from the edge to the cloud. And that's kind of what brings me here today, talking about, what we're seeing happening in the energy space.
Well, thank you. Dix, so you want to introduce yourself? Give us a little background on yourself.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. My name is Dikshit Reddy. I'm a senior data engineer at Fidelity Investments. I recently joined. It's been a month since I've joined. Before this, I would work in consulting at Slalom LLC as a data engineer. My passion is automation of data engineering. The past decade has been very wonderful for the data realm. A lot of organizations were pushing forward to be data driven. But all of them are focusing on getting the data in place so that they can make decisions based on them. But I think with AI coming into picture in the coming decade, there'll be a lot of focus on automating the data engineering process, the collection, processing, transformation, and the management of data for any organization will be automated. And my passion is that automation of data engineering. Particularly in the energy sector, I had worked for clients who are in the utility sector, and there's a lot of innovation happening, especially in applying AI, ML models or machine learning models to find out when there'll be breakdown, to have savings and gas distributions, to know which kind of thickness the pipe should be done, to have savings in cost for the clients and the customers, those kind of areas. And everything, all of this is connected to data, and data is the center point for AI to flourish. And I strongly feel that having a good data engineering background or having great investments in the data realm will propel companies forward in using AI for clean energy solutions.
Thanks for that. Parveen, 2 minutes.
Hi, afternoon, evening, everyone. I'm Praveen Tomar. I'm currently working as a technology lead with Office for National Strategies. It's a UK government department, and my passion lies with both data and technology, especially around software automation to solve complex business and societal problems. So I'm not very passionate about technology. I'm more passionate about solving the real life problem with these technologies. And ONS, my current organization, is working with various other government department and private organization like National Grid, one of the famous company in UK and US in terms of energy generation and distribution, and also working with another organizations like Ofgem, which is a regulatory department which generate lots of reports, guidance for the energy companies how to operate and how to achieve the net zero vision of UK government 2050. And also I've bit experience in terms of working with another oil and gas company called Shell in terms of how the data and data transformation or data engineering can help in terms of doing lots of predictive and preventive maintenance and improving the overall operational efficiency. So this is about me, and this is what brings me here.
There you go.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for that. And Adrian, feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, good day, everybody. I'm Adrian Fielding. I'm based out of the UK and been with Honeywell for 17 years. Most of you will recognize Honeywell from the thermostat on the wall, so I suppose a century ago. Since then, we've been driving sustainability solutions and for ourselves as well as industry. And I'm proud to be part of that with as the general manager for our emissions control and reduction initiative. So we've been pushing sustainability very hard at our own facilities, our industrial facilities, since 2004. And now we're taking the lessons learned and that expertise, coupling emissions data with process automation data to really enable our industrial customers in the oil and gas petrochemical space to and more environmentally conscious. So that's me.
Okay.
I hope you enjoy this session.
Thank you for that. As you can tell, clearly we have a very, very well knowledgeable panel to discuss these issues. So my first question I'm going to ask, and this is a general question for everybody to answer, and we start off with Josh answering it. How are advancements in IIoT impacting clean energy and emission reductions? And I think that's a great question to first think about, because obviously there's a lot of investment in IoT, and really what are we seeing with the impacts? And from there we'll go to each of you to answer that.
Sure, I'll kick that off. So I think what we're seeing in clean energy in particular is the model requires a level of granularity, right? And that's really where IIoT comes into play. So we need to be able to collect a larger scope of data from a more diverse array of devices at a sort of a more granular or higher resolution, both in terms of data and in terms of sort of scope, right? We're not collecting data at the building level, right, or at the mains, but at the circuit level. That's what we're interested in, and in higher frequency of data. And that's really what IIoT was designed for, right? Looking back, probably 30 years, that is a safe estimate, I think, of when we're really seeing some of these technologies coming together and seeing people trying to solve this general problem of how do we get a bunch of widely distributed, diverse, devices speaking different types of protocols. How do we get them all speaking to each other in a common network, right? So that fundamental architecture serves clean energy very well. Because, again, what we're looking for is driving efficiencies, right? If we want to have a sustainable operation, we don't want to be dependent on, traditional power sources, right? If we're operating some kind of a local microgrid, we want to, as much as possible, operate sustainably. That means identifying all of these little gaps in our efficiencies, areas of, someone mentioned earlier, being able to predict or detect very quickly when things are not operating the way that they should, and even seeing that before it happens, right? So the underlying method, the architecture that is IIoT, that way of collecting data, bringing it together, it serves that purpose specifically across a lot of different industries. But when you're talking about something like energy generation or energy consumption, it becomes even more relevant, right? Because you're operating at the change, right? The impact of a failure can spread very quickly through a system, right? Fluctuations in cost can, if you can respond quickly to market fluctuations, can be very profitable, making it the whole operation much more sustainable.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Josh. DX, am I saying that right? I apologize if I'm not, by the way. You want to answer your question too? Take it from there, so we get your thoughts on that as well.
So, could you reframe it in a way that I can better apply my expertise to it?
Sure. So, thinking about how IIoT has advanced and grown in the last decade, with its capabilities now, how is that helping to impact clean energy and deal with emissions, and how can we be harnessing those advancements to basically reduce emissions?
Yeah, surely. So, what I feel is IoT has become central to all organizations over the past 2 decades. Like 100 years ago, we had electricity, and the factories that used electricity to run their operations were doing them much more efficiently, and the ones which had manual labor do them were doing less efficiently. And then everyone started using electricity. Like today, we cannot live in this world without electricity. In the same way, IoT has become the staple of every industry, every organization that is operating in order to become efficient. And in the same way, we need to use IoT, AI, and data, these three areas, for getting clean energy solutions into our realm, making it a reality, and especially helping developing countries have access to clean energy solutions. Developed countries have enough funding to get access to clean energy solutions, but I feel in developing countries, the uh, the leverage or the lever that will actually push them towards clean energy solution was having effective IoT, because having a strong IoT background will help you optimize your resources. It'll help you bring in the expertise that is required to reduce your costs, increase efficiency, reach more clients, provide better solutions to the customers. All this is dependent on IoT, and especially with AI coming into the picture in the coming few years, I feel that IoT will become even more important for clean energy solutions to be implemented.
Thanks for that. Parveen, you want to take up the question as well, see what you have to say from your perspective?
Absolutely. I mean, this is a very, very brilliant question. And in terms of, first of all, why do we need any of these modern technologies like IIoT or AI, right? So let's say what happens if we continue burning the conventional fossil fuel for another 10, 15, or 25 years? So if you go and read the WHO report, so 76% of CO2, or the carbon footprint, or the greenhouse gases which are being emitted, are emitted because of these energy plants, right? So that's not luxury anymore. It is absolutely need of an hour, right? So we have to do it, right? Otherwise we keep creating CO2 and other gases which are polluting air, water, and in our environment, right? So that's the very important thing, right? And also how this can help, these modern technologies can help in terms of so I can see that the AI has an immense power of uh, AI data, and IoT have an immense power to process and analyze data very quickly, vast amount of data which is coming from your power grid, smart grids, power plants, your distribution energy transmission systems, right, and energy storage systems, smart meters of the business users, and processing this data in the real time. And this is the huge computational power which AI and IoT can bring in on our plate, right? And that can help and mitigate the the gap between the demand and forecast, right? So that helps a lot. That will help a lot in future. And currently, if I do remember correctly, the National Grid, UK energy based company, they spend their accuracy of prediction in terms of forecasting versus demand is the is only 70%, right? If and they started using the big data and AI technology, machine learning, and data engineering roughly around 3 to 4 years back heavily, and now then it is improved to 70%. Earlier it was less than 50%. So this is absolutely needed, right? So this is how it can help. And all these technology bringing a lot of power and capability which human brain cannot do it easily, right? Like human intelligence has limitation, right? We can ignore a lot of patterns, anomalies in the data, which these trained programs of machine learning and AI, they will not miss it, and they will predict and prevent lots of issues proactively.
Okay, thanks for that. Adrian, love to hear your thoughts on that question too, of advancement in IoT, and see what you have to say about it.
Yeah, so I'm going to come at this from the emissions space. That was part of the question, right? So if we consider methane emissions, a third of all methane emissions come from industry, a third come from agriculture, but I'm focused in the industrial space. So and the focus is on methane because over a 100-year period, it's 25 times likely the focus. Now, how IIoT is impacting what we do today in the industrial space, it is
Adrian, I think we're missing like most of what you're saying.
binary say of which there are tens of thousands, and it's in how many of these have I got, and what do my emissions look like, and it's given a factor. Is from the fence line on
Hate to tell you this, Adrian.
We're
probably missing like 90% of what you're saying right now. I'm so sorry. And I really wanted to hear from you on this one because I know Honeywell, you guys have been doing a lot in this field for a while. I used to work at the Board of Public Utilities in New Jersey, where at one point Honeywell was a contractor for the agency to oversee building automation in the state, particularly school buildings and everything like that. So maybe you got a better connection now, but
yeah, I'm not sure.
There you go. A little better. Better.
So very quickly, if you can hear me. So we're looking at it. Right. Okay. So it's not IIoT has to be, and the devices have to be in the right location to give you actionable data that is accurate, because we can't report emissions that are estimated, because if we're showing how we reduce them, we're doing another estimation.
Right.
You need to be showing actual data. So positioning IIoT for methane detection, for example, in the heart of the operation instead of on the fence line is actually going to.
Looks like we lost you again, but we pretty much got that from you. So the next question I got for you is another general question, and then after this we have a poll that we're gonna put up.
Back to you, Eric.
So next question I have.
I'm going to try and fix my internet here.
So there is a poll right here that just popped up. Which of the following technologies are you actively exploring for clean energy solutions? IIoT, AIML, or both? So let's hopefully everybody's going to answer that poll. Let's see what they have to say. Give everybody a few moments to answer it. And then we'll go back to the questions. So while everybody's answering those questions, we'll move on with the next questions there. So bouncing off that question we just started off with, how do each of you think society can be leveraging AI, artificial intelligence, to help optimize the clean energy, the clean energy resources, and how much of a role do you see AI playing from now and comparing that like 10, 20, 30 years down the road? Do you see a high uptick? Do you see a big takes off and then plateaus? What do you guys think on that? I'll start off with you, Josh.
Sure. So I think based on what we're seeing at EMQ right now, it's definitely on the roadmap for a lot of our customers, right? They're using IIoT to lay a groundwork that will allow them to incorporate AI systems. Why can't they do that right now? And it's some of the issues that we addressed already, right? Data isn't there in the quantity or the quality that they really need for AI to sort of satisfy AI training systems, right? But that's certainly what they want to get to. It's going to take time, just to do to kind of get that architecture in place to do that rollout. We're looking at probably 5 to 10 years of maturation that need to happen for a lot of these companies. So I would expect that setting aside any issues of sort of trust in AI systems, which has always been, that's kind of the biggest issue, right? Is with the decisions that these systems are making on my behalf, or certainly if they're automated actions that are happening based on these systems. I think we're probably still looking at another 15 to 20 years before we really see, broad spread acceptance of that. But that's my take. I'd be happy to hear another opinion on that.
All right. Thanks for that. And DX, if you want to take that question too, what do you think over how AI will grow over the next 50 years?
So a lot of these consulting companies have already come up with the market research saying that the point of complete automation has come closer to our timeline. Usually they thought that tasks would be completely automated by 2070, 2080. But from a lot of reports that I've seen from very well-known market research companies, is that with the evolution of LLMs, so that is large language models, and the general public access to AI, like the generally accessible AI which we had access to was probably the Google search engine, which would which would give us the links that we require in a very faster way. But now we have access to tools like ChatGPT or Midjourney, and then there'll be then based on that, since the foundation is already built by companies such as OpenAI, there'll be furthermore innovations in the sector of AI, and company specific AI tools will be coming up. And once those kick into picture, I feel the timeline which we are looking for is 10 years. I feel less than 10 years, because also along with the access to AI, you will have an acceleration of the access to information. Information will be even more readily available, and that too in the most accessible format for researchers and technicians to do their work. And this can even more accelerate the adoption of new technologies for clean energy solutions. And along with that, there's also people are even more uh, open to clean energy solutions. There's even more knowledge about what's happening to our planet and why clean energy solutions are becoming important to us with the access to internet and resources like these. And I feel that the timeline will be less than 10 years. So I strongly feel.
Thanks for that. Parveen, what are your thoughts on AI's growth over the next 50 years? Same question, right? So
Yeah. So the with the probably the invent of Chat GPT, we all have understand the power of the text generation or the information generation if you prompt a question to Chat GPT. And I personally feel that we have lots of machine learning and AI models which forecast your demand, forecast your predictive maintenance, predictive maintenance, proactive maintenance, preventive maintenance. And but we don't understand what is how these models work, right? So explainable AI, which I believe that this is going to help a lot in terms of when the decisions are being made, automated decisions are being made through robotics or software automations. That explainable AI that will help to understand the common people, right? Like who are not from data science background, who are not from the AI side, right? So those people can use a lot. And senior management, they may not come from the data science, they are not AI engineer, they don't have any degree in computer sciences, so they can also understand that when the decisions are being made, what are the rationale behind it. Generative AI can also help a lot in terms of filling the gap where the data is missing for to improve your accuracy of your forecasting, your data model. And in the past we used to generate those data manually, right, or do some kind of data bootstrapping technique or some kind of technique. But generative AI can, if you just prompt the few data set, it can fill in the data for you, right? And that will help a lot in terms of improving your data modeling, whether it's machine learning for your predictive maintenance or for forecasting of your demand, etc. So I personally feel that the generative AI and the explainable AI, these are going to be a game changer in next I would say probably 5 to 10 years time period.
great, thanks for that. Adrian, what are your thoughts on that?
So I'm dialed in, so can you hear me okay? Can you hear me, Eric?
Yep, can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good. I'm dialed in through the cell phone now, so hopefully it's a little bit better. I heard 5 years, I heard 10 years. I actually think that's too long. I don't think industry can wait that long. I think we need, we're looking at AI now in the industrial space. We're looking at how that is improving operator efficiency. We're looking at how that is enabling a younger workforce as we lose the more knowledgeable and the older heads from industry to retirement. And that's particularly noticeable in the oil and gas space. So AI needs to come in more quickly. It needs to be adopted more quickly, so that coupled with IIoT is providing not only accurate data, but a quick response and understanding of that data, so that we can have more actionable insights around predictive maintenance, like Praveen mentioned, and enable operators to be more proactive.
I think we're okay. So with that, I'd like to see if we can pull up what the poll came back as and see how everybody answered the poll. Take a look at that real quick. So, as we can see, 63% looks like they're adopting both. 22% looks like they're just looking at IIoT, and looks like 15% are just looking at AI and ML. So, Good to know. Good to know. So with that, we'll move on to the next questions. I do have a few individual questions. So Josh, from your point of view, what type of uptake is coming in for requests for AI? Are you seeing from your standpoint, your company's view, as obviously the last few months AI has been a big topic in the news, but how's that uptake actually seen at your company?
Yeah. So like I said before, we see people targeting that. It's on the kind of long-term roadmap of where they want to get to. Maybe they're not talking AI yet, but maybe some kind of advanced analytics. We're certainly seeing a lot of our customers using IoT to then resell, services to a larger market, or I should say a niche market, right? That's, let's say, in the mining industry or in the solar industry, or they are helping their end users to integrate and monitor their power generation using IoT, and then combining that with some kind of advanced reporting systems. I'd say today that's about the extent of what we're seeing. But we know that people want to do more of it in the future, right? The issue is, even if they had those systems today, the level of data that they can readily collect and provide wouldn't be sufficient to give them the kind of insight that they're hoping for. In particular, we're seeing people struggle with things like, the diversity of data, right? You have data, or taking a step back, there's kind of, I think, this fantasy that, well, we can just collect a ton of data and we'll make this pipeline into the cloud, and then the cloud will take care of all of that for us. It'll make sense out of it for us. And maybe there's a similar conversation happening with AI, right? The reality of what it's going to take to get useful information back from those systems is probably more than a lot of us are hoping it will be. That's the tough reality of it. In particular, that's a problem for industrial applications, energy being one of them. But we struggle with, as I've mentioned, a diversity of protocols, right? Different types of devices communicating with different sorts of field level communication protocols, or vendor specific communication protocols, different types of standards around data that are industry specific. And to be able to be predictive, to have useful insights created by an automated system, we need a way to make all of that data consumable in the same format, right? Or not, and you can just spend a lot of time doing that yourself, and creating transformations and trying to make that data usable by everybody, all the systems that want to consume it, both human and machine systems. So that's kind of a fundamental problem that people are still working on, and that's another reason that IoT comes into play, because that provides a method, right, of creating interoperability across this diverse network. But yeah, you've got the issue of protocol translation that I'm kind of talking about, but then you've also got, related to that, sort of data modeling or asset modeling, structuring data in a way that allows it to be used across many different systems, and that allow it, in particular, in the case of AI, right, to provide a large amount of data in a way that's going to be quickly consumable, right? Particularly if we're talking about responsiveness as a goal, right? We want a system to be able to respond in near real time, right? If that's a goal, then data needs to be consumable in near real time, right? If it goes and it sits in a database and it gets batched, every day or every week, that's not going to give you the kind of responsiveness that you need. So those are the problems that we at EMQ at least are seeing people grappling with, right? They know that they want to get to that next level of responsiveness. In order to do that, they need to lay this groundwork that gives them it's sort of like a foundation of high quality usable data that's not stuck in a silo. It's not stuck in a SCADA system or something like that. It's available across their entire organization to be consumed, to be published back into, usable by other systems. And so once we're there, we'll see that a real uptick in actual AI systems being brought to the market.
Thanks for that, Josh. And that goes well for the next question I'm going to ask to Deeks. I'm sorry, I apologize. AI. It's going to require a lot of data transfer, including financials and dealing with privacy and security considerations. And when dealing with the large amounts of this data being transferred in the clean energy sector, how are companies, how would you look at addressing those concerns and those issues around, at the end of the day, the data protection of what's involved in AI and IIoT?
Yeah. So that's a very good question, Eric. So data protection, data privacy, and following the regulations is all based on having strong data governance structures in your company. You need to have a very well placed, well positioned data governance strategy that has good data quality control measures, that has very strong data integration uh, control checks, along with proper rule based systems that will make sure that your data is passing through all the checks and balances and comes to the final format in a very clean, pristine format, not just for accurate predictions, but also to make sure that the rules such as GDPR or the government rules are followed. So in order to follow these, we need to have a very good data governance structure in place. I strongly believe that data governance forms the basis for strong data privacy and data security control measures. Along with that, initially a few years ago, companies would just go at look at whatever data that's available, feed it to the visualization tools or the data science models to come up with some kind of models or statistics for the business decision makers to immediately act on it and help improve efficiency, increase profits, and lead to open up new markets for them. But going forward, I feel having good a good mix of both talent, senior leadership, as well as automated tools such as the Google BigQuery or any kind of cloud technology tools will make sure that we have very strong data governance models in place, and along with that, make sure that uh, we are not we are not gaining our goals and dreams at the cost of personal information. So yeah, I would strongly be a good proponent of data governance.
Thank you for that. It's very, very helpful. Parveen, this question is coming to you. From your point of view, when it comes to clean energy and AI, what are some of the challenges you are seeing, and how can it be properly engineered so that the data is giving better results and better information to be utilized in I guess, in a more granular aspect at times too. So, what are your thoughts?
Absolutely. I mean, this is a really good question. So data engineering, right? So we have lots of data, and data is coming from everywhere, right? So it's very essential and important in terms of to segregate the noise from the music, right? So otherwise, it's a trillion bytes of data every day to process it, and then you simply get lost. So collecting and curating high quality and diverse data from various sources in the clean energy domain is the one of the key challenge, right? And to begin with, I would start with data quality and availability, right? So clean energy systems generate vast amount of data, and how we will ensure that the quality of data and accessibility is available at almost real time basis, right? So you want to analyze a particular, let's say, one of your grid, energy grid, right? In terms of their uptime or downtime, you need to have a very good connectivity, and to have a connectivity you need data, right? And how you connect with the real time transferring the data, and you have to have that kind of technology available with the safest and the most secure way is the key challenge, right? Because the offshore, let's say, wind turbines of UK government are in somewhere else outside of UK, and data transfer from some other country to the UK, it's again required a GDPR compliance clause come into the picture, right? So how to deal with that, right? And here AI can play a very, very powerful role. AI is very good in terms of detecting the anomalies, right? In terms of any abnormal pattern, right? When somebody is playing with data or handling that kind of data. So I believe that AI, especially the machine learning model, and also AI also can help in terms of identifying the what you call it, biases in your model, right? Let's say when you train any model for any kind of prediction or prevention, it can help in terms of identifying, okay, these are the biases from, and you can clearly allocate that these biases are coming from a specific geography, specific location, a specific city. So somebody is deliberately playing with the data and trying to create bias in terms of your in your algorithm, in your machine learning models. So AI can detect and proactively prevent, right, to generate those kind of data, and will not allow the data to come into you, fuse into your what you call it, data pipeline. So it will not corrupt the data. So that's I believe that identifying those anomalies, patterns, detect those patterns, and notifying on real time basis to take a corrective action would be really, really good from the AI perspective.
Gotcha. That's helpful. Adrian, this question's coming to you. So with emerging technologies, what emerging technologies and techniques in data engineering are we seeing, and specifically relevant to the clean energy applications that are either already connecting to the grid or connecting in some aspect, or clean energy applications that will be connecting? What emerging technologies and issues are you seeing? Do you think that are relevant when it comes to data engineering?
So I think the
Are you able to hear me, Adrian? Yes, no. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. As we'll wait to see if Adrian can respond, and we'll move on to the next question real quick.
data is
We do have a few. I'm sorry. Are you there, Adrian? We do have a few questions from the audience, but I do have a few other questions set aside. So if you guys want to, I could be happy to first ask a couple of the questions from the audience, and then go back into the questions I have, if you're okay with that. Good. So this we'll just open this up to the forum. There's a good question was asked. Due to pending regulatory measures, do you see IIoT and AI being adopted more quickly in certain countries rather than others? So the regulatory construct, I guess, is the question around that. And maybe Josh, you could probably speak to that a little bit if you want to. And then Praveen will go to you, and then DX will go to you.
I'm actually probably not the best one to answer this question, since my focus is more on the IIoT side than on the AI side. I can say that we're seeing interest from customers around the world, right, in deploying AI, but I couldn't say specifically what kind of regulatory hurdles they might have to jump through to get there. Yeah, I'll end it with that.
Okay, that's understandable.
No, this is a really, really good question in terms of, because AI is still a black box for the government, and most of the politicians, they don't understand what is AI. So specifically, I'm talking about the UK government. They established their AI policy somewhere around March 2023. So they created a white paper policy document for how they are going to use AI and regulate AI in UK. So it's a very high level document, though it does not say any actionables, but at least they are thinking. And also UK government is planning to have a role, probably recommended role, not mandatory role, in government department, in civil services, of role of AI ethics officer. And also they are planning to have AI ethics minister in their ministry. So they are planning right now they are, I would say, early adopter. They understand that AI in itself is going to change a lot the landscape of businesses, technologies in future. So they are proactively trying to create policies. In fact, they have established a department also under a Department of Business, Department of Science and Technology, to explore this, the complexity of AI in itself, right? So I would say yes, if governments understand and try to adopt as quickly as possible, they have less, I would say, negative impact or negative effect of AI in their countries. So I would definitely vouch for UK government. They are pioneer in this. I think US has started around a year back. UK is just following US, but other countries are still trying to figure it out, and they left probably on the onus on private sector. So they need to come up. They need to devise some kind of mechanism to regulate AI, and which probably the government adopt later. But yeah, for UK definitely the government is taking lead.
That's good to hear. DX, any thoughts on that question that was asked about the about regulatory constructs? Any issues that you're seeing that may slow it
Yeah.
down or countries implement faster? Okay.
So, regulatory constructs for private organizations that heavily depend on data from outside, it might be an issue. But for organizations that use the data only for they use their own data for their own operations, I do not find any kind of issue over there, because you don't need to be very very open with your processes until and unless it's kind of hindering with personal safety and personal security of any individual. But yes, organizations like social media companies or e-commerce companies that take data from outside and use that data for their own gain, I think that can be an issue. When it comes to clean energy solutions, I strongly feel that uh, all governments will have a strong role to play, but it's also very important for governments to take care of the data, because especially when it comes to like industries like nuclear energy and um, where anything wrong can be really catastrophic. I feel these kind of clean energy solutions need to have stricter data control and strong data control in place. And I feel that public-private partnership is the way to go for these kind of data issues that can occur in clean energy solutions.
Right. Thanks for that. This kind of leads into a question I'm going to ask that I had prepped ahead of time. So, how does data engineering play a crucial role in this development of AI and IIoT to implement the clean energy solutions? How important is that, and how important is it to get it right? Obviously, that's a kind of question that can sort of answer itself, but I'd love to hear a little more from you guys on that.
So when it comes to data engineering, so AI, if you think of AI as a car that you're driving, then data is the fuel that you need to run that AI car, right, or that AI engine. So or data could be the metal that you can use to build that car. So AI at the end of the day is nothing without the data. You need to use that data to make sure that the AI model learns properly and functions in the way that we desire and gives us the outcomes that we need to achieve. But uh, collection of the data is the most important thing, and automation in that realm is even more important to make sure that we collect the data along with the data accurate data very quickly, as Adrian had said. And you cannot kickstart an AI campaign in your company without good data collection mechanisms. And now coming to the use of AI for clean energy solutions, I think the first and foremost, the only hindrance that's stopping countries to adopt clean energy solutions is the cost of clean energy solutions. And the cost of clean energy solutions can easily be reduced with the help of more efficient clean energy solutions. And more efficient clean energy solutions are only possible with the help of vast amounts of data that will allow us to make good decisions to create those efficient clean energy solutions, in order to create those cost effective clean energy solutions, and at the end make clean energy solutions feasible for the governments to uh, implement them. And so I feel data is at the root of all these problems that can be overcome with the help of AI and create those clean energy solutions. I would like to have Josh's take with respect to data, and Praveen's take with respect to how they are using statistics for these clean energy solutions.
Yeah, thanks. I'll take that invitation. I agree completely with what you said, and I think what I'll add to that is probably we're underestimating more often than not the effort that needs to go into preparing data, right? We might think about collecting data. We don't often think about what happens with the data itself in between the source and the destination, right? And there's that's an effort in itself that needs to be sort of change managed, planned ahead. And there are people who are proposing different kinds of standards for the industrial space. Sparkplug is one that you've probably heard of out there if you're looking at kind of the IIoT world, targeting the problem of interoperability, right? How do we get data not just all over the place, but how do we make it so that it's usable by all the things that want to use it? For example, AI, right? Um, so yeah, that effort certainly in the past we have hoped that software would take care of it for us, but what we have learned is that particularly in the industrial space, there's an extra effort that needs to happen to turn some of the raw data that we're getting from the edge into something that's really usable by a software system, because the long-lived nature of industrial devices means that we have um, relatively ancient protocols, right? Still in existence, still dominating the market. I'll put something out there like Modbus, right? That was invented in the late 50s, early 60s, I think. Still being a dominant protocol for all industrial applications, right? And in that case, you're dealing with very raw data, right? No, very limited context that would tell you what this piece of info data represents, right? The engineering units, the location in geographically, what part of the organization or the enterprise was it sourced from, right? All of that context needs to be modeled up in a way that is consumable by some of these intelligent systems that we would like to connect with. And that effort itself, we're focusing very much on how we move the data around, but not on how we structure the data intelligently for efficient consumption.
That's it. Parveen, you want to take up that question? So you have to say.
Absolutely. So in terms of so as I've mentioned, right, we have a vast amount of data, right? How to process the data, how to ensure the quality of data, and also applying the data pre-processing technique to handle the missing values, outlier, and inconsistent data through not only there's some kind of statistical analysis, but also through some kind of common sense, which AI can help, right? As I explained, explainable AI, right? So if you try to draw correlation diagram of the rain in UK versus the energy what you call it, shortage in some other country, it will still show you some kind of correlation, but it does not, right? So using that sensibly and logically, and train your machine learning model or AI algorithm without biases, or identifying those biases and eliminating later on, right? When you are validating your data set, right? And also employing the robust data integration, right, data pipelines with your management practices to handle the complexity of clean energy system. So clean energy system is the where you generate the energy, you store those energies, and you distribute through transmissions line, and connecting all those smart integration of these smart grids, right, together, and analyzing and collecting the data in real time, and giving you the actionable insight almost real time, right? So that's how I believe that data engineering can help, and dealing with data, identifying the biases from the data, eliminating those biases, and all those statistical analysis which we do, they should make logical and common sense as well, rather than just some statistical correlation, which sometimes fool also, right? So that's what I believe AI can train and think like a human, and that's the purpose of artificial intelligence, to mimic the human intelligence.
Okay. Thanks for that. I will say we are coming up close to the end of the hour already, which actually seems pretty fast. Usually my day moves fast because of my daughters, but this actually moved fast. Just great conversation. So what I thought maybe we do a final 2 minutes where everybody gives their final thoughts, and we'll go from there. And we can start off with you, Josh. Final thoughts and the ideas of harnessing AI and IoT and the green energy and green tech and green energy sectors, and just final thoughts on that.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like I've been a little bit of a Debbie Downer here. The road ahead is fraught, but that's what we get paid for, right, guys? The good news is that we are working with customers who are targeting being emission free within the next 5 years, less than that even. The technologies are in place for the kind of near real-time data collection that we're talking about, right? That is a solved problem. And I'm excited to see, what people build on top of that.
Nice. Thanks for that. DX, how about you? Final thoughts on all this and AI and IoT and clean energy?
I feel any organization or any sector of energy is not immune to the effect of AI. There are big oil and gas companies in the Middle East that are using Industry 4.0 and 5.0 and employing huge number of data scientists, data engineers, and software engineers to optimize their resources to reduce the cost of producing of each unit of energy, so that the margin between the cost and the selling point is more and more. And this gap can be increased with help of AI and data. Even clean energy, I feel that the major hurdle in clean energy, which is the efficiency and the cost, can easily be overcome with the help of efficient data collection process. And going forward, as Adrian had said, that AI is already here. We don't need to wait for 10 years. It's just the time for someone to come into and with innovative solutions and take up the market and provide those solutions effectively.
Right. And Parveen, final thoughts.
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, so there are so many, AI can also help in terms of, doing the new research and innovation, like, as I was discussing with you earlier, right? The ocean power technology, right? Generating, energy through the ocean's wave, right? AI also can help in terms of, speeding up your research and innovation in terms of providing the clean and green energy, right? So that's what I believe, that rather than going and collecting those data, for years and then making your recommendation, AI can do it that in months' time.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for that. And we've come up to the last couple minutes of the panel. So I just want to thank you guys. Thanks to the speakers for their amazing insight and knowledge. Honestly, there's so much out there. Just to hear what you guys have to say and your thoughts on it is very helpful. And I got to tell you, from somebody who used to work at the regulatory body in New Jersey, it's good to hear that people like you are out there actually really, really thinking up how this is going to interact with the energy sector. And also thank you again to our sponsors, EMQ, which obviously Josh works there. So thanks, Josh, and IIoT World. Without your support, this all your support ensures that we're able to have this great conversation, share thoughts and ideas. And thanks to all the attendees for listening and for all your great questions. Now, it's almost that time to move on to the next session, managing operational risks, cyber resilience and energy. You can also take a look on the agenda and have it there. But again, thanks everybody and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
See you later.
Thanks very much.